What's up, Ken? How we doing? Oh, we need better than that. How we doing out here, guys? First of all, beautiful introduction. And what a lineup we have up here today. Thank you guys for joining me here in Cannes. I'm assuming you guys have all been here before?
Yes.
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 Am I the only Cannes version? It's my first time. I've never been. But today we're here talking about music and kind of the intersection of music and community. I guess we'll start here. I'm wondering, what is your relationship with music, particularly growing up? Did you guys grow up in a big music family? Did you grow up listening to music, playing music? What was your foray into the genre for all of you guys?
I'll jump in. I was a dancer growing up, so music was everything. It's what triggered the expression of emotion, and now at Peloton, it is the heartbeat of what we do. It is where I spend the majority of my time in discovery, and then as a DJ as well. I think it's the escape we all need all the time, and it is the rhythm that keeps us connected to something that is bigger than ourselves. But music is, there's always a song in my head, let's just say.
For me, music was the only job that I couldn't get fired from, so that's like why I kept doing it. I liked it, but it was a hobby, and then I built it into a business, but it was definitely a slow process. I wasn't like a young prodigy of music or anything, but I just kind of had a lot of creative ideas for it, and didn't even release my own record until I was 24.
Wow.
It's very late now for young musicians, but that was how long I've been doing it for.
But what was the spawn of those creative ideas that you said you had? Were you just a fan of it naturally? Did you just gravitate towards it, or?
My family setting was that I lived in probably 8 different cities growing up, so I just kind of had it as like my hobby, not really settling it into any friend group. I just kind of was like, I want to make music. I was a terrible guitar player. I figured out I'll be a DJ, and I learned how to use turntables. I would buy a pair of turntables, sell them at the pawn shop when I lost money, do it again. I just had this kind of like ongoing, difficult way to try to start the process. And then finally, after I graduated college, I just decided I'm going to commit to music 100% because I just really could not manage another lifestyle.
And Raja, how about you?
Yeah, so I come from a family which is pretty accomplished in Indian classical music. So my mom used to sing, my sisters they sing. My dad used to play the percussion instrument called tabla. And I learned classical music a little bit, and I gave up midway and started pursuing academics. But that initial exposure to my family as well as my own little training, it helps me quite a lot as we are crafting Mastercard's sonic strategy.
For sure. We'll get into that in a sec. But Diplo, back to you for a minute. You have been seen by pretty much every single person here, rocking stages, festivals, music videos, but now the new thing is the Run Club. How did you foray into that, and how did you know that music could be the connective tissue to get you there?
Well, I started off promoting events in Philadelphia before I really released music, because I was renting like VFW halls or like Ukrainian halls and buying kegs and putting together DJs and making music and starting debuting my own songs at my parties. So I understood the idea of community as an event. Like people go to a party to be part of an event, and if it's your own thing, you create something. We had a culture around our party there in Philadelphia, and we started traveling with it, and I saw the brand building of just having something small in my city, and then it moved to like New York. We'd go to like London. We would end up selling mixtapes in Australia. So I understood this culture, and this is before the sort of rise of EDM and house music culture, and then that came up, and I saw that build, and I saw that kind of the commerce around it. And that was probably 24 years ago since I started doing parties like that. And so I think the Run Club was a natural progression for me to find something that we could all come together with as well, because there's only a short lifespan for people that want to go to raves in electronic music. So I was trying to find something that was a demographic that would last a lot longer and also be beneficial, You're going to run and you're going to have a good time and you're going to party, but you go to bed at like 8 p.m. You don't have to stay up till 8 a.m.,
For sure. Jess, let's talk about the Peloton experience for a second. Do we have any Peloton riders in the building?
Hey, y'all.
Music is obviously integral to, or it's imperative really for the experience. How do you kind of approach music and the workouts?
I really like to tell a story and create an energetic heat map that coincides with the road map, that coincides with the RPM if I'm on the bike. I'm very into the nuance of it all and very passionate about connecting the dots so that that synergy and the real experience is felt. And when you have that feeling, whether it's emotional or euphoric or powerful, or you just overcome something in real time, you might be doing it as an individual, but you're doing it with this collective group, this community, this global community we have at Peloton. And there's something really powerful and profound about that, and that's why you keep coming back. Well, if I did that once, what if I do it again? What if I do it again? Fitness lends itself to that type of progression as well. You start feeling strong, you want to keep going. Music is the way that we connect to each other. It's the relatable piece in all of it, where if you know a song, you love a song, you bring your life experience to that moment in the class. I'm adding mine, everyone's adding theirs, and together we've just created a new memory, a new moment that matters. And I know music discovery at Peloton is huge. I'd like to pride myself on introducing our artists to a lot of EDM artists and debunking the fear or the myth that raves are for young kids or only people who like to party hardcore, that there is a bunch of people who in the community who want to feel good, who want to just experience the joy and the euphoria of listening to incredible music and being amongst those people. So thank you for setting the trend of bridging that gap that was so obviously there the whole time, to merge wellness and fitness together and take it to the streets and take it to the club. We're now at Peloton, yeah, we're fitness, but we're also known for our musical discovery. We're known for creating these experiences that connect artists with athletes and starting to get rid of the division, recognize that it's all one giant community of music and movement.
Raja, we're talking a lot about how music is a connective tissue between humanity. Can you tell us a little bit about Mastercard's 10 passion areas and how those are also helping to connect people all over?
Yeah, in fact, just as a context to that, I want to state that Mastercard used to advertise extremely heavily. It was a multi-billion-dollar budgets that we used to have. And what I found is that in order to truly connect with consumers, throwing ads at them is not going to work. You need to really connect with them on areas that they are truly passionate about. And we have identified 10 such areas which people are very passionate about. We call them passion points. And we try to curate experiences for people that are truly immersive, memorable, and they stay. Those memories, they stay, like you are saying, they are lifelong memories. And those memories give a very positive impression about the brand. So this is an experiential marketing strategy in a simplified fashion. And we identified 10 areas. Sports is the first one. Music, movies, arts and culture, including fashion, shopping, travel, environment and sustainability, and health and well-being. So these are the passion points that we are focusing on. And we curate experiences. Now, believe it or not, I moved 70% of my entire advertising budgets into experiences.
Really?
Absolutely. So each one of these, like for example, if you look at music, we are fairly deep in music. We are sponsors of Grammy Awards, Brit Awards, and 85 electronic dance music festivals or EDMs around the world, as a simple example. We started creating our own songs. We are the world's #1 audio brand. We call it the sonic identity of Mastercard. And we are creating, we dropped our first music album. We have some songs which we got created, which top charts in multiple countries. So we go very, very deep. And one small point I will say around music, and then I'll stop there. We even have, you spoke about, Jess, about discovery. So we know that there is a tremendous amount of talent pool out there which struggles to discover or to be discovered. So we have created a platform where we take 5 up-and-coming artists who are hugely talented. And then we have mentorship for them from people who are from the music industry, from marketing industry, etc., to help them create world-class music, leveraging technology and some of the best techniques, because many of these people are not trained. A little bit of guidance and mentorship can really change their lives. Then we teach them how to market themselves to be discovered. And one example of a guy I'll give, he used to be a waiter in KFC in London. Now that guy, we got him onto our platform, and today he's a very busy artist. He has given up his job as the waiter in KFC, and he is now featuring on British television, and he is totally booked at various shows and all that. So that's the kind of stuff that we are trying to do. And these are 5 or 6 people that we identify every year and a mentor. There are about 170,000 other artists or other musicians who are following them along to learn, because the same lessons are applicable to them too.
Man, that's a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
Diplo, let's jump back to you for a second. I'm curious as to how you're seeing yourself these days. We all see you as this music mogul, but now that you've taken such a strong leadership stance in the community space, particularly with the runs, do you see yourself more as a music person? Do you see yourself as a community leader? When you look in the mirror, what do you define yourself as?
I've always been a producer and a DJ. The DJ is something that's easy to do because you can just go out there on a month trip and make a lot of money, but to sit home and work on a record and figure out the direction of a record or sound, a producer artist takes a lot more mental energy. And this year I've done a lot more production. I've been home in LA and then building the business for the Run Club, because we're doing 8 cities this year. Last year we just did San Francisco and Seattle, and we did about 25,000 people running in. It's a small run, 5K, but anybody could do it. And then the party is 2 hours long. This year we're moving to 8 cities, so it's a big undertaking. You have to work with city planning. You have to promote. I have to take myself off the market so I could do those cities differently. So building that has been very important this last year. I still see myself as a party person. You know, I'm doing a party here tonight, the Yahoo party next door, and I'm going off to France tomorrow to do Gate Club, like a really underground party, and then
Happy
Fête de la
Pride.
Musique. Yeah, Happy Pride. And then there's Fête de la Musique, which is a big Caribbean party on Saturday. So I'm always bouncing to things that matter culturally. But yeah, the wellness space was very important for me to be in, because I was always a runner. I started posting some of my exercises online, and people really gravitated toward it. It started becoming more of my lifestyle. And I'm not even a fast runner. I'm like pretty slow, but I could get through like 5K pretty easily. My marathon a little rough, but you know, I just taught people that anybody could do it. And you know, one thing when you get a little older, you think music discovery is not that important. It's mostly when you're young, when you're like in high school to when you're in college, and then you kind of freeze with the music you like. But I still think you can always have music discovery, and especially with dance music, electronic music, it's easier. And when you see Jess basically DJs when she does her Peloton class, like she has the host. She's like it's like you're in New York City in the 80s. She's like screaming at people, introducing the songs, like she has energy. And she does the same kind of job as me, but she mobilizes people that want to get fit and want to be fit. And I think once you start that trend, you can't go back. Like nobody that jumps into running or exercising ever really backtracks. It becomes part of their MO for the rest of their lives, and I love that and being a part of that movement.
It's kind of like you're taking the music world, and I'm taking the fitness world, and we're saying, look, it's the same thing, and we're pulling it together to create these experiences that just.
And the Peloton, they pick good music. Some of them, like a little bit, you could pick the class by the genre, but some of them are like really putting on some great music and cool music. And I was talking to her about it last night. Yeah. Licensing all of it's pretty difficult, but they actually pick great songs.
Thank you.
Jess, when did you realize that music was this kind of universal language that could bring community together, and specifically like the fitness and movement world with music?
I guess the day I taught my first class at Peloton. I think the technology piece that makes us able to connect to one another through our platform at Peloton is it's so incredible and so beautiful because you can have these experiences like in a room like this, teaching you a class, telling you I love this song, but to have the reach, the global reach, to be able to talk to individuals and members who aren't in our studio, who may never come to our studio, who would never know who Diplo is, or Rufus's Soul, or Sophie Tucker, or Odessa, or all these artists that I've introduced to our community, who would they come to you like, I would have never known about this artist, but now I'm going to see them live this summer. Now, thank you so much for introducing me. I didn't realize that this type of music was for me. And I care about the music and artists so much. It's so deep and personal for me. So to hear that someone else has their own experience and they're going to activate on that experience by going to see the artist live, that I had something to do with that, I feel really cool.
Raja, I've heard you say that you don't believe in brand loyalty, but you believe in trust, brand trust. Can you tell us a little bit more about that theory and how Mastercard's partnerships in the music space are really honing in on that?
So, I actually have written a book called Quantum Marketing, which I feel very blessed. It became a Wall Street Journal bestseller. One of the chapters I read there is about loyalty is a myth. Because a lot of studies have shown that people are not hardwired for loyalty in their personal lives. And overwhelming 70% of the people have admitted in various surveys that they cheat on their partners, whether married or in relationship. And a further 15% have said that if they are sure they will not get caught, they don't mind cheating. So I said, if 85% of the people are not hardwired for loyalty, we coming as brands and say, for every dollar that you spend, I'll give you 1 mile, and thou shalt be loyal to me, is stupid. So therefore, I say that's not the paradigm or the model or the framework we have to go with. That's number one. Number two, on the other hand, what is really becoming the true currency for differentiation is trust. Increasingly, everything we touch around us and we experience around us is not trustworthy, unfortunately. Whether it is media, whether it is political personalities, whether it is industry leaders, whether it is marketing practices, everywhere there is a huge trust deficit. So the brands which will build trust are the ones which are going to truly win the game. And how are we trying to do in terms of music? It's not just music, it's across all the 10 passion points. But when you look at music specifically, what we are trying to do, like this Mastercard Music Accelerator program, to get these kids or these youngsters to experience the ability to create music in a far better way, to be discovered, marketed, and so on. There is no tie back to, you will get all this only if you have a Mastercard or only if you spend, there is nothing about it at all. But then, when you come through clearly that you are transparent, that you mean what you say, that you are not deceptive in your practices, they start trusting you. Once you win the trust, you don't have to ask them to come to your brand. They do it themselves. That's how we approach.
And I think Peloton is a great example of that because we do have exceptional loyalty and we have built that trust by just genuinely being who we are as instructors, providing excellent workouts rooted in science that are going to get you results, and created a community of people just like you. Everyone across the spectrum is part of our community. And when you find home like that and that connection point and someone who is constantly within your instructor or whoever you take class from who's believing in you and you know them personally, it's not just a character, we've created something really special. And I think that's why we've always been a unicorn.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to branding, it's important to find your audience, but really the consumer results was what matters, especially when it comes to fitness or wellness, or if you're a supplements taker or whatever it is, you're going to understand what works for you. And I think that's the cool thing about wellness is that we're all looking for personal better, like it's not just about buying our car or like buying clothes, it's literally about our bodies and how we feel, and results are what matter the most.
Diplo and Raja, this question is for you, and Diplo, I guess you can answer first. I wonder how you think brands can support these community-driven events without it feeling inauthentic or ingenuine, because authenticity is so key in longevity. So how can brands and music community-centered events coexist in a way that feels real still?
Well, personally, we've only had sort of brands that do work in wellness. Say it's a running shoe or athleisure or Normatex, Hyper Ice. If we had KFC at the finish line, it would be a little bit like, what's that about? So you got to be picky and also pick what represents you as me as a brand. What brands can I feel good about supporting too? Because like you said, you want them to trust in our process and what we do, and that this is a good environment. This community is great. So you have to be picky. Like we've had a lot of discussions in my team about which the shoe company, what's the athletic wear. And who are the people that in those companies that are great too? It's partnership with the people that work there as well. And then we work together to see how can we find that consumer. And for me, it's important that I love those brands as well because I want to give my audience, my fans, something that's great.
Raj, the same question for you.
Yeah. So first and foremost, I just remembered an interesting anecdote, and it pertains to your area, Diplo, electronic dance music. We saw the statistics on EDM or EDC. They were going through the roof. And I said, okay, that seems to be an emerging opportunity. Let me just figure out what that is. Now, different strokes for different folks. When I went there to Tomorrowland, I could barely stay there for 5 minutes because it was not for me. It was noisy. There were 14 stages, and everywhere to me the same thing was happening, the same jumping and all. But people who were there, they were in heaven, not me. But then it's not about me. I come back and I said, look, I saw people genuinely having a ball. They're having so much of fun. Let's actually get into this space. And we got very deep into the space. But once you're in the space, whatever be the kind of music, you need to be consistent. You cannot chase the new shiny penny. So today I do this because this is popular. Tomorrow that's popular, I'll go. But if you stick to the passion that people have about any area, irrespective of whether you personally like it or not, and you stick with it, they start associating your brand with that passion.
Right.
That is invaluable. We call it priceless.
Jess, while we're on the tip of authenticity, you have one of the most diverse riderships at Peloton. How has your authenticity led you down that path of having such an inclusive community?
Authenticity is this big buzzword, and I think when we really debunk what it is and get down to the brass tacks of it, it's like, who are you at your core? Who do you want to be at your core? And merging the desires for how you want your inner self to come out and share with the world. For us at Peloton, it wasn't a choice. We can't be characters because people don't trust characters. We have to be ourselves because of the fast pace with which we work, and there's no time to fake it. There's no time to be anybody that I'm not. I have to be me fully. And when you start to understand that the impact of showing up as yourself changes lives just by being you, you're more incentivized and excited to do it. So vulnerability, authenticity is a place where, yeah, I'm on a stage. Yes, there's this aspirational element to it all, but when I come in and I'm like, shout out to all the people with toddlers because what the fuck is going on, then you get this relatable moment like, oh, she's just a mom. She didn't sleep either. Life is challenging too. Like, I see myself in her. Then you build this like, oh, we can do this together kind of thing, and I'm not so far removed. We're real people, and I think that's what's really cool about what we do, is that we're in your living rooms as ourselves. And so when you meet us in person, you're not meeting, your favorite character from a movie. You're meeting me, and when you say, I feel like I know you, it's because you actually do. We have a real relationship, a real connection, and some real energy between the two of us. I think that's dope.
This question is for all of you guys. I think human nature wants to be protective of intimate spaces, and things seem to be cooler when it's if you know type situation. How do you scale things, particularly music-driven communities, while still, making them feel like they're ours, making them still feel authentic?
I just claim it. I say this is a safe space for everyone to be who you are as you are today. Show up, put on the music, and whatever happens, it happens. We're not here to judge. Don't have opinions. Just bear witness to what comes through. And just by inviting people in, celebrating them, not saying you have to be this or look this way, you enough as you are. I don't care what you did yesterday or what happened before. You're here now, let's rock. There's so much power in that.
My son is in a band. He's 14 years old. He's in a couple of little bands, and we've been on and off on how to get his records on DistroKid, and does he get an Instagram? My kids are not online at all. They don't have any social media. But I kept telling him the only thing that I understand from 2025 is that the most precious gift you have is like anonymity. Because once you enter the phase of like being online, it's just like an endless hustle, endless race. And right now, when he's putting out music, no one knows who he is and what his band's like. It's actually the only gift that nobody can do. Like, no brand can make that up. Nobody can do that. So when you're talking about authenticity or like feeling like you're part of a, if you know community, that's something a lot of young people need to understand. It's not always about, once you enter the race, you can't end. It's just going on forever. So you have to be a little protective of like what you're doing too. You know, don't give everybody everything all the time. I'm the king of starting different projects. Like, I have a rap project with Juicy J coming out this summer. We have like dance music I make. My biggest records on Spotify are country music, so I always have to find different ways to brand the music. And every time's a different marketing appeal, but it's fun for me because I never get bored in one genre, and I'm always able to work around and do different things. But it's a challenge now to reach an audience because it's not always the loudest voice like it used to be. How many clicks you have. It's really like, how can I find an audience that wants to invest in me? You know, want to follow me. You know. And that's when you have to work a little harder mentally. You can't just make that up in like a marketing room, you know?
Right. Raja, how about you?
Yeah, so I think you touched upon two extremely important topics. One is, in a relatively intimate kind of a place, how do you keep their trust? How do you even get into that space? And secondly, how do you scale it? They are two significant problems and the most important problems that brands deal with. So on the first one, I'll just give you one story, small one, which will demonstrate both the points. So we took sponsorship of Lady Gaga for this year. And we curated an experience we call Priceless Surprise for about 20 people who are fans of Lady Gaga. We said, you come to Manhattan at a particular studio, there'll be the choreographer of Lady Gaga who actually choreographed the song sequence of Abracadabra, and you'll actually learn directly from her. They were all super thrilled, super excited. They came there, they would practice in the moves. And then at the end, we said, let's take a group photograph and say, chant her name. And suddenly the doors open and Lady Gaga comes from behind the doors. And literally, people were crying out of joy. And it's something to be absolutely seen, to be experienced, what that priceless means. Now, those people, they are converts for the rest of their life. But we put this on social media, with paid media, of course, as a result of which now we have got more than 1 billion views.
Wow.
And these are branded views. So the brand is a facilitator. It is not an intruder into that sacred space. So long as you recognize that philosophy, that you're an enabler and you have to be respectful of the audience and not be hard selling in your face marketing, it can work beautifully.
Wow, that's dope. Final question for you guys, and I want all of you guys to answer. Diplo, we'll end with you. Raja, I guess you can start. How do you see music kind of shaping the way we view community moving forward? How is music going to dictate what's next to come from a human perspective, but also a brand side as well?
Yeah, I think music has been ever present since the dawn of civilization. So I think it's self-evident that will continue to grow into the future. But for brands, which is where I'm trained in, I would say that music is going to be a substantially critical component of any marketing mix. You see advertisements, you barely remember unless the story is so stunning. But I remember even now, relatively silly jingles from my early childhood.
Same.
Even now, right? So music has a way of lodging in your brain, and if the association is appropriate, you are golden. And that's one of the most effective ways of getting into people's hearts and minds in an area that is actually naturally resonating with them. And that's the reason why I told you about we having a sonic identity and creating albums and creating songs. That's exactly part of the strategy to address this opportunity effectively.
For sure. Jess, how about you?
I think the way that I see music showing up is a lot of different ways, but most importantly, I think it's important from a musical discovery perspective to keep educating people on artists, new artists, because when you get stuck in your genre or stuck in your decade, you are stuck, AKA old. So by staying tapped into new artists, investing in new artists, new experiences, things aren't the way they were anymore. The way we access music, the way we connect as people is different. So I definitely want to continue to elevate artists and dope-ass music and get people onto dance floors and into live music events and into the studio and on their bikes and on their treads and on their rows and on their mats, listening, coming to class to work out, but also coming to learn about new artists. And I guess I can sum all of this up to say I believe music is healing, and I am on a mission to heal myself and others along the way, so turn the music up.
Yes. I think music is a lot like fashion in the way that we wear the same shit all the time, but just different colors every year. It's different patterns. You know, men's suits haven't changed in 100 years. But music's the same way. A great song, you write it on piano or acoustic, and you know, even for me, with a great dance record, I have to break it down to like acoustic guitar. You know, if you can do that and you can cover it and you can see it and you add the beats to it, it's just like me as a producer. I'm like a fashion designer. I always dress up a song in the style that I want it to be. A country song could be a reggae song to me. You know, a dance record could be a ballad to me. And a lot of times I've turned ballads into dance songs, like Justin Bieber's "Where You Now" was a ballad. You know, we made it into like an up-tempo record. You can do that with any record. But what matters for people, for me, is that experiences. The music has to mean something to them beyond just hearing on the radio or like knowing what it is or it being in trend, because music goes in trends so quickly. You know, like very few times you have a song that lasts for 2-3 years, like we have it in country right now. Those records are lasting for a long time. They go on for like, you know, months and months. Dance records, pop and rap songs kind of drop quickly. So it's really about giving people an experience, whether it's a concert they go to, a wellness, advocating an experience that matters to them. And it could be any age group. And I've noticed that with the Run Club or even my parties. You know, I've done so many different kinds of parties. I see that people remember that moment. Like it's that Burning Man. I play that song on the sunrise. That's always going to be burned into their minds. You know, or like this is the song when we first finished the run. We're there and I play like this big ass record that feels like, you know, like they're on the runner's high. You feel that experience. So me, I always want to feel like a curator of experiences more than anything. And I use my music as sort of the tools to do that.
For sure. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. One more time for Diplo, Jess, and Raja. I'm Speedy, and enjoy the rest of your Cannes experience.